Growing calls tonight for Madonna's arrest after the 90s pop star alluded to President Trump's assassination Saturday during the Women's March in D.C.
Yes, I'm angry. Yes, I am outraged. Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Madonna yesterday, well, she said the speech was taken wildly out of context. I guess we are not to believe our lying ears. Joining me now, Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clarke. Sheriff, great to see you. And your thoughts on this? I mean, we were in Washington, watched these women and men descend on Washington, D.C., but some of the stars, and for the most part, there were exceptions, but for the most part, they were reasonably orderly. And then these stars get up and start talking. Your reaction?
Well, first of all, Lou, it is a great day in America. Donald Trump is our president.
Amen,
as it relates
brother.
to Madonna. As it relates to Madonna, look, she's an aging over-the-hill performer. Doesn't sell music like she used to. Newer generations are looking at new stars, listening to new stars that are coming up. And so she has to resort to political activism to get any attention anymore. She wasn't taken out of context. We all heard it. She did that for shock value. Now she's trying to walk it back. I think she should at least get a visit from either FBI agents or the Secret Service for some questioning to at least send a message to her that that kind of stuff will not go on during the Donald Trump administration, not just his, but any president's administration.
Yeah, I've got to say that we were for a brief time talking to a crowd of LGBT activists down there who were basically, they were menacing, chasing, pursuing whatever, Pat McCrory, the former governor of North Carolina. About 30 of them, and they were loud and they were noisy, but you know, the D.C. police, two officers stepped in after a few minutes and just simply moved them out of the way. So this is me saying thank you to the D.C. police, all the law enforcement officers there, handling a crowd that was, for 2 days, they had large crowds to manage, and it was, for the most part, it was so orderly and so terrific, despite the fact there were arrests, you know, the previous day. But we do want to just say thanks to all the law enforcement, law enforcement officers, my wife and I, and my colleagues here who were on the streets at a time. It was good for the former governor because we got him to shelter, but it was a bad time for us because we got to stand in the middle of a little of the activities. Your thoughts?
Well, I want to give a shout out.
Sure.
Lou, I want to give a shout out to the law enforcement officers during the inauguration, during most of the week in D.C. as well. I was there. They did an exceptional job. It was a joint effort. Pulling off something like that is very difficult to do. They did it during the RNC convention and the DNC convention. They do an admirable job, but I'll tell you what, if those idiots would have come after me like they did the former governor of North Carolina, the cops would have had to move in to pull me off of them.
Well, I have to tell you, I stood up like you would expect me to do, and I asked my my female executive producer, Lila Sabalonis, and my wife, Debbie Dobbs, to go after him and take care of the governor. I'm just kidding. They were both very brave and saved the governor's life. I had absolutely nothing to do with it. I want to turn to where we are right now. There's a tone in the country. I don't care what anybody says, 3, 4 days, whatever you want to mark this as. There's a better tone. There is a lot of positive spirit in the country, and has been since his election. Where do you think we're headed? How important is this to law enforcement, and how do you think that they let me first ask, are you sensing the change, and do you think your colleagues in law enforcement across the country are already responding to a difference in tone and atmosphere?
Sure, and I was excited when I heard Donald Trump during his inaugural address to point out the fact that there's going to be a new respect not only for veterans and for active military personnel, but he also said law enforcement. That's the sort of thing we want to hear, a new narrative for America. Look, the overwhelming majority of law-abiding people in America respect the police, they respect their authority, they do comply with lawful commands, and they know the importance of law enforcement officers. But the Obama administration and the office under him was an echo chamber for the anti-police sentiment. I do believe it will change. I'm sensing this much from the law enforcement officers I've talked to all last week and will continue to talk to. They're sensing it as well, that there's a new sheriff in town, if I can use that phrase, and from there is going to come a new spirit of respect, not just for law enforcement, but authority all across America.
Well, Sheriff, on this broadcast, you can use any word you like. We appreciate it, and any expression you like. Sheriff David Clarke, great to see you. Thanks.